All right, the most valuable asset, the most valuable commodity in the world is no longer oil, it's data. And so if you think about the 5 most valuable companies in the world, who are the 5 most valuable companies in the world? It's Microsoft, Apple, who else? Google, Facebook, right? These are technology companies, right? So all those technology companies have one thing in common, it's data, right? So they're all collecting lots of data about us. In the HR space, it's no different, right? So in HR, there's lots of data out there. So think about your online resume. Does everybody here have an online resume called a LinkedIn profile? Everybody have a LinkedIn profile? Yeah? If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, your resume is probably sitting in some database somewhere. Somehow it's sitting in Monster's database, in CareerBuilder's resume database, in somebody's resume database. And if it's not sitting there, I guarantee your data is sitting at data.com, which is a Salesforce property, maybe sitting at Full Contact, maybe sitting at Spokio, maybe sitting at Hoover's, maybe sitting at D&B. That data is everywhere, and it's now accessible. So the challenge we have is that in the old days of looking for a job, we would go to the yellow pages, or we go to the white pages, we would find a job, and then we started going to online job boards to find a job. And now what's happened is we're flipping. There's a paradigm shift occurring. And what the paradigm shift that's occurring is that instead of the job seeker looking for a job, we're moving to a place where the job finds the job seeker. So, and how does that happen? It's happening actually through algorithms. And that's what our company at Restless Bandit does. It uses algorithms to help connect people to economic opportunity at massive scale. Now, when I prepared this presentation today, somebody said to me, don't start off my presentation with a graph. So I'm going to start off my presentation with a graph. And so this looks boring to you, but it's actually what is the reason why I come to work every day. And it's actually not even real. It's actually fake data. So if I took all of the resumes that your companies have acquired over the past couple of years, and I unleashed our algorithms on them, and I matched them against your open job recs, I could probably figure out, using all these data science and fancy techniques that we use, in order to determine who you should consider for an interview. I can't tell you who to hire, because a hire is a lot about what we're doing right now. But I can probably tell you who to interview. And so that little dot up there, that's a statistical anomaly to me as a data scientist. That's what it is to me. It's just an anomaly. To you, it's a good candidate. And to Malcolm Gladwell, that's an outlier. And the question is, how do you get away from those average Joes and find the outliers? And so that's what algorithms can help you do. They can help you to figure out who to interview. They can't help you figure out who to hire. There's a bigger issue going on in data as well, and in the industry generally, is the liquidity on talent. And what I mean is that 10 years ago, people used to stay in jobs for 10 years. Now they only stay in jobs for 5 years. So that means that every month there's 4 million people looking for a new job. 10 years ago, there was only 2 million people looking for a job. There's 250,000 people, new jobs created every month, but there's 4 million people that churn every month through attrition, through in the workforce, out of the workforce. That creates a massive more amount of data. So between all of the resumes that are out there in the online profiles, plus all of the issues with people changing jobs. And why are people changing jobs? Because they're loyal to themselves. They're loyal to a cause. They're loyal to their family. They're not loyal to the company as much anymore. So people can work from home. They can work remote. They can work on a train. They can work in a company. But they're no longer 30-year employees of IBM like they used to be. So what does that mean? That means that companies are spending about $15 billion a year on recruiting talent in this war for talent. And where does most of these dollars go? 70% of these dollars actually go to people sifting through resumes, to posting your jobs online and collecting all these resumes in. And the challenge is we're now inundated with resumes. We're actually inundated with paper. And we have people sifting through resumes. We have we not only do we post our jobs, but we have interviewing. We have outsourced firms. We have insourced firms. So most of that money is actually on the labor line. It's 70% of the money that goes out is on the labor line. Amazon spent $150 million last year on talent recruiting alone. So you're asking yourself, what does this mean for me? And what it means is that with an algorithm, I can look at not just keywords in a resume, I can look at skill progression over a period of time. I can look at title progression over a period of time. The algorithm can look at, you're applying to Coca-Cola. Did you work at Pepsi? What department in Pepsi did you work in? Does Coca-Cola even like to hire from that department within Pepsi? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Does Cisco like to hire from Coca-Cola? Definitely not. Do they like to hire from VMware? They probably do. And so algorithms can sift all that out in order to surface up the people that you should consider potentially for an interview. The other thing about algorithms that are interesting is that they're incredibly consistent. They don't need their cup of coffee in the morning. They don't have to pick up their kids at the end of the day. They actually don't get a tummy ache after they eat, after they have lunch, or they don't get food coma. Algorithms are really, really consistent. There's a lot of bad with algorithms, a lot of them, a lot of bad. But the good is that they're consistent and they can actually tease out the people you should consider for an interview. So let me give you a really specific example. This is what we do at Restless Bandit. The first thing we'll do, work with a company like Macy's as one of our customers. 19 million profiles, 19 million resumes on hand. Microsoft's got 6 million resumes. Amazon's got 8 million resumes. I can go on and on. If you're a global 2000 company, you've acquired all of these resumes. The first thing an algorithm can do, it can dedupe it down to one profile. So now you're Macy's, now you have 8 million profiles. That's the first thing it can do. The second thing we can do is we can enrich it. The problem with acquiring all these resumes and looking through all these resumes against your open job recs is the resume may be 3 years old. How do I deal with a decaying 3-year-old resume? I can enrich it. Because I can look at that resume and I can go find that person on the web with all the information I described to you on the top of this talk. I can go to DMB, I can go to many different sources. I go to LinkedIn. There's plenty of different sources I can go to get the data. So now your company has a live resume database. You've actually already built your own LinkedIn database because you can it's constantly dynamic. You can constantly enrich it. So now that I've enriched it, I can automatically email out to all those people without any human intervention at all. I've matched the people against the good job in your resume database or from your talent pool. I reach out to these good people. I say, hey, you're interested in a job? I think you're a good match. If you apply, you think you're a good match, double opt-in, which is really, really powerful when it comes to statistics. So now I've auto-matched them through auto-match, and then I email out. And then what I can do is make it go even a step further. I can get a little creepy, some may think. However, it's highly effective. You all get chased around the web through retargeting. We can do the same thing with jobs. So I can actually reach directly out to a person on Facebook because when they apply to the job at Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola is a customer of ours, I have their email address from the resume. I know that they match specifically to a job. Maybe it's a 3-year-old resume, but I know they match specifically to a job. So what I can do is I can upload that email address to Facebook. I can target them specifically for that job. You applied to our job 2 years ago. I think you're actually a really good fit now. Why don't you reapply to that job? It's a specific ad specifically to a person, and the click-through rates on this stuff is through the roof. What's happening is that people are actually moving towards, we're moving to a world where the job is actually going to find the person instead of the person finding the job. Thank you very much.